I'm Bob Ross, and for the next 13 weeks, I'll be your host as we experience the joy of painting. This is a fantastic method of painting where we use a wet-on-wet technique. And before I go far into the show, I'd like to take a few minutes and make a dedication. I would like to dedicate this show to my beloved friend and teacher, whom we've all watched and loved for many years on public television, Bill Alexander. And years ago, Bill taught me this fantastic technique, and I feel as though he gave me a precious gift, and I'd like to share that gift with you. So before we start, let's talk a minute about the equipment that we'll be using here. We're using a stretch canvas rather than a canvas board. The canvas board will absorb your underpaint very rapidly and become dry. You need a strong easel because we use a lot of pressure here, and you need an easel that would grip the canvas and hold it securely. The palette that we use a large palette that has a lot of working area in it. And I'm going to go over each of the colors that we use here, and they'll be flashed across the screen. So if you need to write them down, you can pick them up off the screen as I talk about them. So here we go. Let's start right up here with titanium white, phthalo green, phthalo blue, Prussian blue, burnt umber, Van Dyke brown, alizarin crimson, sap green, cad yellow, yellow ochre, Indian yellow, and permanent red. Now these 12 colors we'll use every week. So if you want to have your palette ready, these are the colors that we'll use. Also, each week we'll run the colors across the screen, so in case you didn't get all of these, you can pick them up the next time. The brushes that we use, these are natural bristle brushes. I'm using a 2.5 inch and a 1 inch brush. Also, we use an almighty palette knife, a very big palette knife. And this palette knife, unlike traditional palette knives, is very firm. It's very big. So we can do almighty things very rapidly here. So let's do it. Let's paint an almighty picture right here. I'm going to start by dipping the brush into a little bit of magic white. Now, this makes the canvas wet, it makes it slick, it allows the paint to blend in here. You actually blend the painting on the canvas. So all we do here is cover the entire canvas with a thin layer of the magic white. All right. Probably the biggest mistake made when you first start is applying too much magic white. All we want is just a nice, thin, even coat. And when you're using large brushes, this only takes a couple of minutes, so no problem. Here we go. Look at there, already we're almost complete. There. Okay, now just work it back and forth and up and down to get a nice even distribution of color. Okay, we just about got this canvas covered with the magic white. Now, another big problem that we run into continually is washing the brushes. Now, I'm going to wash the brush, and we wash it with odorless paint thinner. And I strongly suggest that you use odorless, or you'll run everybody in the house out in the yard. You'll be there by yourself. Now, we shake the brush into a box, and then beat the bristles dry. Now, if you do this at home, this is a quick way to redecorate your living room in a second. So be careful. Learn how to contain this. Alrighty, let's do a simple little picture today that'll just give you an idea of how this fantastic technique works. So I'm going to start here with a little bit of Prussian blue. And we pull a small amount of paint out and beat it into the bristles. Really work this paint into the bristles. You're looking for a nice even distribution of color throughout the bristles. And we'll start right up here at the top, and we just make little X's, little crisscross pattern. Come all the way across the top. There we go. Now your brush is picking up the magic white, and automatically the sky is going to get lighter in value as it works toward the horizon. There. Okay. Let's see how easy that was. Okay. And very gently, we'll just blend this out. Now, it's very easy to make a sky darker, but it's a son of a gun to make it lighter. If you want to make it a little darker, all you do is add a little more blue, a little more blue. This stuff is really strong. And go right back through the same procedure. You can darken this guy very easily. All right. Now, another thing that seems to give us a lot of problems is almighty clouds. So let's spend a second here and make us a cloud. And here we'll use the fan brush. And I'm going to take the fan brush and load it full of titanium white paint. Load it full. A lot of paint in the bristles. Okay, now, we'll go up here and decide where we want a happy little cloud to float around. And you touch the canvas and just make little tiny circles. Just work it, work it, work it. Do it rapidly. Push hard and get away from it. Don't keep working the same area. All you'll have is a big cotton ball up in the sky. Okay, maybe we'll put another little cloud right over here, just to show you how to make these little clouds. Okay, now, with a large brush, we want to very gently blend this out on the bottom down here, but without touching the top at all. So very gently, just the bottom. Just blend it a little bit. Little tiny circles. There we go. Now over here, we'll blend this one a little. Now we'll fluff it, and we're just going to gently lift upward. And don't worry if you get some of these little things up in the sky. Okay. Now very gently, we'll hypnotize that. There we go. These are very simple, very basic little clouds, and very easy to do. Now if you brush sheds like you just did here and you get a hair on you, just take the corner of your brush and lift it off. Don't spend all day trying to pick it off. You'll have fingerprints all over your painting. Just use the corner of your brush. All right. Let's now make an almighty mountain. Everybody likes mountains, no matter if you live in Florida or Alaska. Mountains are still pretty. I'm going to take a little bit of the Prussian blue, some Van Dyke brown, and a little touch of crimson. Very little crimson. And we'll mix that up real good. Now, all you need to do here is push this almighty knife right into the canvas. Just push. You're really pushing the paint right into the fabric. There. And all we're looking for is just a basic outline for this mountain. And you may have noticed by now, we use no patterns, we do no sketching. We let this flow right out of our heart onto the canvas. There. Now with a large brush, I'm just going to pull this down. One thing about mountains when you're painting them, they should always be more distinct at the top than they are at the bottom. Because at the bottom of the mountain we have mist and now we have pollution. All of these things diffuse and break up light and create the mist at the bottom of the mountain. So once again, we allow the magic white to mix with the paint, and this happens automatically. We don't have to worry about it or think about it. Let it happen. All right. Let's put some snow on this almighty mountain. We'll use a little of the titanium white, and we're going to start right up here on this peak. And just let this paint flow right down the mountain. And you want the paint to break like this, so it creates all the little rocks and stones and highlights and shadows in your mountain. There. Now, light's going to strike right along this peak also. And maybe just a little touch back in here. Now let's build some shadows. And we'll just use a little bit of the Prussian blue and white. Maybe a touch more. There we go. Now the shadows will run in the opposite direction. We'll start here and just let the shadows run right across like this. There comes a shadow. Okay, we'll put one back here. And we've decided this peak is behind the mountain. So all we do is take this shadow and bring it right through. And automatically, you've just pushed a mountain around. On this canvas, you're the creator. Anything that you want, you can build here. This is your world. Your dreams come real here. All right. There. Now, maybe we'll add just a couple of more little peaks in here. Maybe there's a happy little peak right here. We put the highlight in first, and then we give him his own private little shadow right there. Now, this is a very basic, simple little mountain, and as the series progresses, we'll do some that are a little more complicated if this is too easy for you. There we go. Okay. Now, as we had talked about earlier, we always want it to be more distinct on the top than it is on the bottom. So, using the large brush here, I'm going to very gently tap the bottom of the mountain. I'm tapping. All I want to do is diffuse. I don't want to destroy it. There we go. Always following the angles. Now, very gently, lift upward using the brush flat. Look at that. Look at that mist. See, I knew you could do it. All right. I think it's time we had some fun now. Let's get over here into the Sap Green and just load this brush full of paint. Just put a lot of paint into the brush. Just really work it into the bristles. And we're going to go right along here and touch and push. Just push. Just like so. Now, this is where you need the almighty easel because you're really pushing hard here. You're pushing the paint right into the fabric. Okay, there we go. Just push it in. This is just straight Sap Green. And you're bending the bristles. Most important that you bend the bristles. There. Okay. Now I'm going to go into just a tiny bit of Prussian blue. And we'll darken the front here. As things get closer to you in the landscape, they should get darker in value. All right. You know, while I'm doing that, one of the most interesting things that we see as we run across the country teaching this fantastic method is people continually say, I can't draw a straight line. I don't have the talent, Bob, to do what you're doing. That's baloney. Talent is a pursued interest. In other words, anything that you're willing to practice, you can do. And this is no exception. But it's like driving the car. At first, it's a little difficult. You have to learn how to make your hands and your foot work together. Same thing, and that's what we're trying to teach you here, is the technique. Once you have the technique down, all you need is a dream in your heart and a desire to put it on canvas. Okay, now, let's go back here in the background a little bit, and we'll mix up some blue. This is Prussian blue, brown, Van Dyke brown in about equal parts, and Sap Green. All three of these are in about equal parts. And it should look very dark. It should look black on your palette. Okay. Now with the fan brush here, we'll make some, let's make some little evergreens back here in front of this almighty mountain. And there's many, many ways to make them, and we'll try to show you a bunch of ways during this series. Okay, we load the fan brush full of paint and decide where you want your tree to be. You touch the canvas. Turn the brush sideways and just begin building a tree, back and forth. Isn't that easy? Look at there. And trees get lonely too. They need a little friend, so we'll give him a friend right here. There. And you know, sometimes you don't want to have a bunch of distinct trees. You just want indications of trees. So watch right here. This is the way to make indications. All we're doing is touching. Just touching. And this looks like little trees. When the painting's finished, it is they're way back in the background. And maybe over here. Just drop these in. This is such a free style of painting. There. And maybe there's some here that are a little closer. And we'll just drop them in. Let them just fall right off your fan brush. There we go. There we go. Okay, we'll put a little more dark in here. You need dark in order to show light, so here I'm just applying a little dark color. Now, another golden rule that you need to remember here. A thin paint will stick to a thick paint. So I'm adding just a touch of magic white on my brush here to go through this thicker paint. And this will make it a little bit thinner so it'll stick on top of the thick paint. This is why we're able to paint wet on wet. Okay, now let's put some happy little things happening back in here. Just some little bushes and stuff. Here they come, down the hill. Just let them progress. There we go. There, look at all them little rascals. Okay, with the knife here, I'm just using the point, and I'll scratch a few little trunks here and there. See, already it looks like we have a multitude of trees and stuff back here. Okay, now let's move a little forward in the painting. And I'm gonna come right about here. There we go. And we'll drop a bigger tree in here. There he goes. There he is. There. These little trees live in your fan brush, and you have to scare them out sometime. See, I knew you could do it. Just let that come right on down. But here's some trees on the other side over here too. Let's put an almighty tree right here. We're having such a lot of fun doing these trees. We might as well just keep going with them. Okay, and by now you're probably saying, hey, can he do anything but evergreens? All right, let's do some different types of trees. And we'll take a 1-inch brush and load some of the same color on it here. And let's put in some leafy trees. There we go. Just push them right off your brush. Bend the bristles. Most important that you bend the bristles. So you get all the actions that happen there. And maybe over here, a nice little tree. There. There we go. Now, let's put a little trunk in here. I'll use a little bit of burnt umber. And let's just lay some happy little trunks. Okay, and the little evergreen trees, just here and there. There we go. And we need a trunk in this big old tree over here. Like so. One in there. You can also take just the point of your knife and scratch right through the paint and put all kinds of little indications in here. All right. A little more of the thin paint to thin this down. And we'll put some happy little highlights on there. Maybe we'll say this looks like fall, so let's use some bright colors here. And they show up good on your set at home. Look at that son of a gun. Okay, now. There we go. All right, now, down in the bottom down here, we need some nice little bushes that are happening. One thing to be very careful of, don't kill all your dark areas. If you kill them, your painting becomes very flat. There we go. And maybe there's a happy little bush right here. And a big old one here, big tree here. Need a little something underneath here, just to give it a little more depth. There we go. Now, we'll cut a few more little sticks and twigs here and there. And this helps create depth in the painting. It shows different planes, and the more planes you can show, the deeper the painting will be. So we'll just cut a few of them in here. You know, it's interesting. I was doing this painting one time at a mall, And I had a man come along and he says, you know, I've been to that location. He says, except it had a little pond right here. He says, if it had a little pond there, I'd buy that painting from you. So I told him, I said, you start writing the check, and by the time the check's done, you'll have a little pond. So watch right here. Let's see what happens. All you do is take this almighty brush and pull down. And we'll create a little pond right there. It's that easy. There we go. And I'm going to take a little bit of Prussian blue just to make this pond a little bit deeper. I want to have enough room for the trout to live in here. Just a little bit deeper. This is one thing that's so fantastic about this style of painting. Right in midstream, you can change your mind. You can completely change a painting in just a second. And here I'm just pulling across to make it look like water. Isn't that something? Now we'll take just a tiny bit of the magic white and we'll put a little water line in here. There, just act like you're trying to cut a hole right through the canvas. And let's take, and I sort of wiped out a couple of these little bushes here, so let's just put them back in. Maybe on each side there we have some nice little bushes. Okay, now I'm going to add just a tiny bit of the Van Dyke brown and the burnt umber to this magic white to make it, it's a very, very thin paint. And with that, we'll just take and pull down here a little bit and make us a nice little bank here. Just some ground for the bushes and trees here to sit on. Don't want them to fall off in the water and make a big splash. That'd disturb that old trout that lives in there. There. Now maybe highlight it with just a tiny bit of white. And this is a very, very gentle touch, just enough to get the paint to come off the knife. There we go. Isn't that something? Now, with just a little touch more magic white, we'll put a little water line on into here. There it is. Just enough to separate this. There. Okay, a few more little sticks here and there, just to break it up. And maybe there's some little grassy things that sort of work down onto the bank here. Just here and there. Over here more to be some. Now, what happens if you change your mind again? Son of a gun. Let's change it again. I'm going to take the big brush and go right back into this dark color and begin pushing. Like so. And we'll just add another plane to this painting and make it even deeper. Just push this dark in there. Once again, we need the dark in order to show the light. Okay, now we got our dark in there. Now we can highlight it. A little more of the thin white here so we can thin this down and it sticks nice and easy. We use a little yellow ochre mixed with a little cad yellow. And mix it on your brush. That way you get a multitude of things that happen. Maybe a little of the permanent red. Let's put, ooh, there's a little fireball. That's a nice one. And right on down through like so. And just let these flow with the lay of the land. And put all kind of little, look at all those little grassy things. There they go. Just as easy. Okay, now we'll just cut a few little sticks here and there. There we are. Now, you know, one of the hardest things to do when you're painting is to know when in the world to stop. It's such a temptation just to add one more stick or one more tree. And there comes a time when you have to stop or you piddle it to death. So I think we're going to stop on that one. Show you how to sign a painting. This is something that gives people a lot of trouble. And I'm going to dip, this is a number 2 script liner. And I'm going to dip it into a little bit of thin oil. And then use the liner brush and make the paint so it's like water. Very, very thin. Then it'll flow right on top of there. And turn this brush, twist it. That brings it to a nice, firm, sharp point. Okay? Now, let's sign it right here. And all we do is touch and just let this paint flow right off this little liner brush. There we go. And luckily, I have a very simple name. It's easy to spell. It only takes a second to sign a painting. Now, next week, I hope you have your canvas on your easel and you're all ready to go with us. And we'll be doing a white canvas next week. During the series, we're going to do numerous different things. There will be several paintings that we do on a black canvas. Oh, there'll be some that you won't believe. But next week, have a white canvas ready. You have the colors, and we'll be looking for you here. And until then, from all of us here, we'd like to wish each and every one of you happy painting and God bless.